Hey guys, it's Joshuken here. I thought I'd upload my recent Magic the Gathering pre-release pools as well as deck following obviously my most recent event this weekend on Saturday. This is my second event of the weekend. Yesterday I did end up going to another event and I thought I'd come back today because I had a decent amount of fun and a decent amount of success. So I'll show you the pools in the video and I'll show you the deck that I made at the end. And yeah, let's go. So obviously I pulled the foil promo Emmett Selch, which is obviously a pretty good commander card, but in limited, probably not so easy to pull off the 14 cards in the graveyard, which I'd soon come to find as I made this deck. But nonetheless, a great card to pull starting off. And then obviously here we've got the Zodiac Umbra God and another Emmett Selch in my first pack. So when I saw this card, having already pulled Emmett Selch as my promo, I said to myself, I'm thinking I'm definitely going blue-black. There's no way I'm not going blue-black. And obviously this is kind of what I ended up doing, although splashing a third color, which I'll show you shortly as well. But in regards to the set overall, I had a lot of fun yesterday. So obviously the set is kind of on theme for Magic in itself. Obviously, we all know about Final Fantasy. We all know how popular it is, and we kind of know what the themes in Final Fantasy are. In general, you know, Magic, Wizards, Dragons, etc. Although they do have various games where there's a lot of vehicles and mechanics and things like that as well. But overall, kind of a similar vein to Magic. So in that sense, the cards were kind of nice to look at, even though I'm not the biggest Final Fantasy fan myself. So they were kind of familiar and the flavor was still kind of within the realm for me. That being said, I have recently started and almost finished playing Final Fantasy 15, and I know it's not most people's go-to Final Fantasy, especially not as their first, but for me I found it quite enjoyable because it kind of bridged that gap between the turn-based Final Fantasy that everyone's kind of known and used to, as well as the action type of games that I play more of. So for example, Devil May Cry. So it was kind of a good mix. So yeah, come to my second pre-release. I thought, yeah, playing Final Fantasy after having seen all the cards spoiled and released obviously over the past few weeks. And I thought maybe I might get myself a nice pool, and obviously pulled two mythic Emmett Selches, which is nice. As for the pools in the video, as we can see, again, I'm pulling more and more cards that are kind of signaling me to go blue-black, which in this set, the archetype of blue-black in this set has a few variations in terms of what it's trying to do. Like the Emmett Selch card obviously filling the graveyard, the Gold Bears is trying to get artifacts on the field to get cards or creature cards back from the graveyard. So there's a lot of graveyard synergies going on in this color combo as well, as you know, as per usual. As well as, you know, your classic kill spells, removal, etc. So yeah, as I pulled cards out of these packs, again, most of the cards I was receiving were in the three colors of red, as you can see the big pile on the left there, although that is just the commons in general. But yeah, red, blue, and black. I had less so in the green and less so in the white. Although in green I did end up pulling a few cards which said to me that I potentially either could splash it or go into that color pile. For example, Gladiolus. Unfortunately, I didn't really have any ramp spells or any ways of getting extra lands onto the field at any one point in time. So for that purpose, I decided that green probably wasn't the strongest pick for me, and decided to first of all go with the blue and black, given, you know, this is where my bombs were going into the sealed pre-release. And then red, because I was kind of lacking a little bit in my removal spells, even though black is known for removal. So, you know, things like Suplex, Thunder Magic, and I believe there's another red spell that I ended up sideboarding in. It was the instant and sorcery, or instant spell that deals 6 damage to a creature and destroys an equipment attached to it. I'll put it up on screen if I can remember to do so before posting the video, but that ended up being a pretty decent sideboard card, especially against the equipment decks out there. Although that being said, even if you're not an equipment deck in this format, especially in the limited area, so draft and sealed, the job select equipments can be quite backbreaking, very backbreaking, especially the white 5-mana white one, which gives you 2+2 to the creature with job select as well, obviously, for each artifact you control. So that specific creature with that equipment very quickly becomes a 10/10, which is very good value. And obviously once that creature dies, you can just attach something else and it's just as strong. So yeah, as you can see now, obviously I pulled the Gladiolus and I'm kind of like, maybe I could put green in my deck. But as I sort out the piles into colors after I obviously finished up with this video, I ended up seeing that both my green and white pools were very slim outside of the couple of bomb cards like Gladiolus. So I decided, yeah, we could definitely go on blue-black, splash the red, get a bit of removal, and see how things go. So from the res you can see on the screen, it's very quite clear to me that the color combination I was initially going to go, as I kind of mentioned previously a few times, was definitely blue and black. I did consider splashing, and even though there wasn't any real good cards to splash in this pool, I thought I would take Kuja, the Mage Manufacturer, because again it was blue-black and just a splash of the red for not only this card but a bunch of different removal cards as well. Although I very quickly came to find out at the end or the third match of my second round that a lot of my wizards, or actually all of my wizards, were legendary. So when I tried to use the triggered ability of Kuja, unfortunately the legendary that I copied would come and sacrifice itself due to the legendary rule. So don't make this mistake if you end up picking up this card. It is definitely bait in sealed. If you managed to make it through the video this far, thank you for watching so far. And feel free to leave me a comment of what you liked, what you didn't like, or any suggestions on how I can make these videos more exciting for you as the viewer, as it is my first time trying something like this out. So here is the pile that I ended up making. Like I mentioned, definitely a very blue-black centric deck with that little bit of red splash to make a Grixis pile, so to speak. And primarily splashing that red for the Thunder Magic and Suplex and removal, the Katana as a perfect value piece, a 3/3 trample haste body that leaves equipment on the field for artifact synergy and to be used later on, as well as the Black Waltz number 3, just as a great card overall. So the deck had two main themes that it was trying to execute at the same time, which I feel like might have been its downfall. One was the artifact synergy. I think I had 9 or 8 artifacts on screen here, as well as the artifact created by the Undercity Dire Rats when it dies, i.e. the treasure, which was probably my most successful angle with this deck, you know, in the Valkyrie aerial unit that mattered or cared about how many artifacts were on the field, i.e. the affinity for artifacts, as well as Golbez, who was able to recur creatures from the graveyard if I had 4 more artifacts on the battlefield, as well as the 8 or more effect, which I ended up never hitting, unfortunately. The Blitzball, initially I thought not of putting this in, and I think in the first round I didn't have it. However, when I started to lean more into that artifact synergy, as well as the fact that, you know, I'm in colors that don't really have the best mana fixing, I thought probably a good play. So I ended up putting that in there as well. Unfortunately, Emmett Selch wants 14 cards in your graveyard for it to flip. And even when I tried to use Emmett Selch's looting ability and the various other looting abilities of other cards, i.e. the Rock Tunneler, I believe it was called, or the Rock Turner, as well as the Dreams of Laguna, I was never able to get to 14 cards. No matter how long or drawn out the game was, you know, we could be on 12 land drops and there was still no 14 cards in the graveyard. So it was definitely not possible, but still, Emmett Selch being a 2/4 Vigilant for 3 with the ability to loot when it enters and attacks, or, you know, it's a must ability, so you have to do it anyway, was still a great card to play. So ultimately, with this deck, I ended up going 1-3. 2 of the games, unfortunately, as it is the case with Magic, and especially in a sealed or limited environment, I ended up having to mull to 5 on game 3 of round 2 due to having only 2 lands in the first hand, all playables not in the cards that in the mana that I had in my hand, and the second hand only 1 land and no really early playables. So when you mull down to 5, chances of you winning are quite slim, unfortunately. And in another game, unfortunately, again, almost getting the third round of the third match of the third round. I think I was 12 life points and the opponent was on 4 and almost about to die. However, I miscalculated, or rather they had the white spell that lets you tap down 3 creatures, and my 2 blockers, which I was hoping would get me through and it let me push through it on the backswing and kill him, ended up getting tapped down, and his double strike, I think he had Zidane with the Blitzball that was flipped over. So Zidane was essentially hitting me for 12 total with the double strike included. And I think he had one more job select equipment on it, which made it a 6-6 total, or a 6-4 with double strike total. So yeah, anyway, it was just a scenario that I didn't foresee, unfortunately. So yeah, we ended up going 1-3. That being said, still had a bunch of fun, still got to see a bunch of new cards, and play some Magic, as I guess that's the most important thing at the end of the day. The reason why we do what we do is to have fun and play with some new cards. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks again for watching the video. I know I've rambled on quite a bit this video, and I'll try and keep it more concise in the future ones, although I feel like, given that all this is still fresh from today's event, I thought I'd just essentially let you guys know how I went as well. Alright, take it easy. If you're in Australia, stay warm. If you're elsewhere, have a great time. See you next time.